My name is Irene Nemerov, and I'm a Holocaust survivor.
All right. So how did it all begin? Like, when were you taken, or?
To the concentration
Yeah.
camp in 1940. The Germans came to Poland in 1939, and in 1940 they decided to move all the Jews from where I used to live and take them to a place like Camden used to be, the worst part of the city. So they took all the people who lived there, got them, I don't know where they got them, and then they made us move there. And we were four of us, and we got one room, no bathroom, was horrible. And we were there for quite a long time. And then they decided to get rid of all the Jewish people, and that's when they took us to Auschwitz. And most people, like my parents, were cremated. They took most of the, when we got to Auschwitz, they separated the men from the women. So they took my mother away from me, and she was cremated. They took my father away, and then they sent us to different camps because they needed room in Auschwitz for the people from all the towns in Poland and maybe other countries where they were trying to get rid of them, so they needed more room in Auschwitz, and they took us to different camps. And they took me to, and the people that were with me, to another camp which eventually became horrible. At the time it was still young and new, and most of the Germans didn't even know who we were. They didn't know what the Jewish people were, and why we were there. And after a while, they found out. So we were in Bergen-Belsen, I don't remember how long, but then they needed more room because they were closing all the ghettos in Lodz, in Warsaw, and Krakow, and all the big cities in Poland. And then, I'm trying to remember.
How old were you at the time?
Well, I was 9 when we started. I was, when it was, last week was the anniversary of my liberation. Do you know what that means?
Mm-mm.
Okay. To be liberated is to be freed. And April 16, 1945, the Americans won the war. We won the war, and they came to Germany where we were, and they freed us. They took us out of all the camps, and I wound up in a hospital because I was sick. And they opened camps for people who didn't have anywhere to go because we were just there. So they opened camps. They called them displaced.
What was the deliberate?
We were in the displaced persons camp. Because we didn't, well, it so happens that my father had 7 brothers and sisters in the United States. His whole family came here many years ago, my grandfather, but he was the only one army age, so he was in the Polish army, and he was the only one that we stayed there until, unfortunately, until the war. And then after, when the Americans came and liberated us, they took us to camps called Displaced Persons Camp, to stay there until we knew where we were going and what we were going to do. And I happened to find my aunt. Yeah. I didn't even know their names really. But an American soldier came to the hospital where I was and brought me a newspaper in which people were looking for survivors, for people like us. And that's how I found my family and I came here. I was 15. But that's not what you want to know. You want to know about the war, right?
Yeah.
Okay. Well, anyway, after the Bergen-Belsen, they sent us to another camp where we were working. And we were working on machines that we were making airplanes part. And the children always loved this question when they said, what did you do in that camp? And I had one time sabotaged one of the machines. And they thought it was very funny. It was, because I didn't get away with it. I got beaten up, but I survived. And we weren't able to do maybe quite a few airplanes that killed the Americans that we were able to save. So we did all that, which was good. And we worked there for a long time till we became liberated. And we didn't even know what was going on. And one time, the Germans, who were horrible to us, the officers and the soldiers, they came and they were all in civilian clothes. And they all said to us, weren't we good to you? Weren't we wonderful to you? We couldn't imagine what was happening. Then we realized that the Americans were coming in. And they didn't want the Americans to know what they were doing to us and how they treat us. And that's how, bless you.
Thank you.
And that is how we were freed and sent to different camps, to different hospitals, because a lot of us were sick. And we all tried to find our families or whoever, bless
Thank you.
See, I'm telling the truth. And a lot of them went back to Poland. I don't know why. And a lot of them had families and relatives. Like my best friend had family in Belgium, so she went there. And I eventually found out my brother survived, and he met somebody and he said, did you see my sister somewhere? And they said, your sister's dead. So he decided to leave Germany. And he went to Italy. He was going to leave from Italy to go to a different country or to go home. And then when he was in Italy, somebody said, hey, I just saw your sister. She's in a hospital in Germany. So he walked from Germany from Italy to Germany to the hospital where I was. Did you know that, Irene?
No, I don't know that.
He just died.
I know that.
But he's the one. He walked from Italy to Germany, and he brought me oranges.
Camps, how often were you fed?
Fed?
Yeah.
Sometimes once, sometimes not at all. When we were in Bergen-Belsen, we would get once a day, we would get bread, 2 slices of like an Italian bread, rolled batter. And I had a friend, we used to pretend we were sisters, and we were always together. So we always shared whatever we got. So that's all in the other camp that we were there, where we worked, we were fed also once a day, usually soup. These are the cars. These are the cars in which they took us from our homes to Auschwitz, and then from Auschwitz to different camps in cars like this, with 100 people in there. You couldn't move, it was so crowded. So they were cattle cars. They were the kind of cars we here use to move cows and horses and stuff. And that's how they took us to Auschwitz. Now here, some places, this was Auschwitz. This is only a picture now. But this was all wired, and there were millions of people in here.
How long did you sleep at night? Like, did you get a lot of sleep?
I'm sorry?
How long did you sleep at night?
Didn't. Oh, they'd let you. I mean, you could if you could. But we lived in wooden things that like bunk beds, that we slept on the boards. And then in the mornings, see, I don't remember all this, it's so long ago. And in the morning they would get up, and they would stand you up, and we had to stand for hours. In the sun, was horrible. You were not allowed to go to the bathroom. And somebody asked me, what did you do when you had to go to the bathroom? They gave us to wear wooden shoes. So we peed in the wooden shoes. Since we couldn't go to the bathroom, that's what we used. But I'll tell you, I have gone ahead and this fell in, because I'm not used to talking like this. But I will tell you a little bit of the beginning. When they moved us from, as I started before, when they moved us from our homes to the place called the ghetto, where there were only, any place is called a ghetto. If you have only Polish people, nobody else, that's a ghetto. If you get Italian people on together, that's a ghetto. When you, nobody else. And I wasn't in there. I was able to get out. So I was able to bring them some food sometimes if I could. That's where they took us to Auschwitz from there. But when they took us from our homes and took us to Auschwitz, and they separated us, women from men, and then they took us, I'm going backwards, and then they took us to this huge, huge place. They made us all get undressed. They shaved all our hair. Everybody's up and down wherever, whoever had hair, they shaved it. They checked you because they thought you were hiding things. We were naked, but they were still looking in your hair, if you were hiding things. And when we came out of there, you were naked. Mothers and daughters, there were some, didn't know each other. Germany and to Auschwitz because they want to see it. Because millions of people were killed there, and a lot of people use it now as, you know, when they go on a trip, they go to see it. Now, right in here,